Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're really digging into a book that's pretty crucial for anyone in the Kaizen community, Mike Rother's Toyota Kata.
That's right, Toyota Kata. Managing people for improvement, adaptiveness, and superior results. It's a bit of a mouthful, but the core idea is powerful.
Especially if you've, put the Kanban boards up, maybe rearranged the workspace for flow, but you still feel like you're missing that Toyota magic, that constant adaptation and cost improvement.
Exactly, that feeling, that gap, is what Rother tackles head on. For years, people looked at Toyota, saw the tools, the Kanbans, the andon cords, the cells, and thought, okay, let's copy those.
Right, reverse engineering the visible stuff.
But they were copying the results, the solutions Toyota came up with for their problems, not the underlying thinking, the routines that allowed them to develop those solutions in the first place.
So it's not the flow rack itself, it's the ability to know when and how to design or redesign that flow rack when things change.
Precisely. The real advantage isn't the tool. It's the ingrained capability to adapt continuously. And that capability, Rother argues, comes from specific practice routines.
And that's where the term kata comes in, right? Pronounced, so is this just these routines?
Yes, kata. Like in martial arts, it means a standard routine, a pattern you practice until it becomes second nature. The book focuses on two main ones, the improving kata and the coaching kata.
Okay, let's frame this. Why is this so important now?
Well, think about traditional management. A lot of it was, frankly, built for a more stable, predictable world. Planning cycles, budgets set way in advance.
Stuff that struggles when things get unpredictable or dynamic, which is, let's face it, pretty much all the time now.
Exactly. That old system leads to frustration because it just wasn't designed for constant adaptation. So Rother redefines management itself.
How so?
He calls it the systematic pursuit of desired conditions by utilizing human capabilities in a concerted way. It's less about controlling outcomes directly.
And more about building the process and the people who can navigate towards those desired conditions.
You got it. It's about nurturing the capability to improve and adapt. And that brings us to the first routine, the improvement kata.
Okay, the improvement kata, what is it, fundamentally?
It's basically Toyota's standard routine for moving from the current situation towards a new desired situation, especially when the path isn't clear. Think of it as a scientific method for navigating uncertainty. It's a content neutral, too.
Meaning it doesn't matter if you're improving a manufacturing line, an HR process, or a software development cycle.
Right. The 4 steps of the routine stay the same.
Okay, let's walk through those 4 steps. Seems core to the whole idea.
Step 1. Understand the direction or vision. This is the big picture, the ultimate challenge. Maybe a 50-year goal, even. For production, this is often called true north.
True north. Like 0 defects, 100% value add, perfect flow, total safety, that kind of ideal state.
Exactly. It's the compass, the ultimate destination you're always striving towards, even if it seems impossible today.
Okay, so you know the long-term direction. Step 2.
Grasp the current condition. You absolutely have to know where you are starting from in detail. And this isn't just looking at a spreadsheet.
It means going to the gemba, right? Seeing it firsthand, measuring things, really understanding the process as it is working now.
Precisely. Deep, factual understanding. No assumptions.
Got it. Direction, current condition. Step 3.
Establish the next target condition. Now, this is key and often misunderstood. This isn't the 50-year vision. It's a specific desired state for the process, maybe 1 to 4 weeks out, 3 months max.
And it needs to be a stretch, right? Challenging but actually achievable, something concrete to aim for next.
Yes, and critically, it's not just a business metric like increase output by 10%.
Okay. This sounds like where people might go wrong. So if it's not reduce defects by 5%, what is a target condition?
It's a description of how the process should be operating to achieve that outcome. For example, each part moves individually to the next step within 30 seconds, or operators can complete task X according to the standard work sequence without interruption.
So it describes the functioning of the process, like a blueprint for how it should work in the near future.
Exactly. Rother says it acts like a pair of eyeglasses. When you define that specific operational pattern, suddenly all the things preventing that pattern, the obstacles, become crystal clear. You see the real problems.
That makes so much sense. It shifts focus from some abstract number to the actual process you can influence. Okay, so that definition reveals the obstacles. Then step 4 must be
move toward the target condition using PDCA. Plan, Do, Check, Act. This is where you run experiments, scientifically, to tackle those obstacles one by one.
Okay, PDCA. We'll circle back to that. But first, you mentioned people often misunderstand things like the target condition. Rother talks about common ways organizations try to improve that, well, just don't work well.
Oh, absolutely. Before we even get to effective PDCA, we need to clear out some common ineffective habits. He highlights a few big ones.
Like what? What are these traps?
First one, relying on big projects or workshops. The week-long KAIZEN blitz.
Yeah, everyone gets excited, lots of sticky notes, maybe some real changes happen. But then,
Then it stops. Improvement becomes an event, not a daily thing. Rother says this actually hides a system that's fundamentally static and vulnerable between events. It's not continuous adaptation.
okay, so Kaizen events alone aren't the answer. What's another common pitfall?
Probably the most common thing everywhere, the action item list.
The to-do list for improvement. Seems logical. What's wrong with that?
The problem is it encourages jumping straight to countermeasures, to solutions, before you've really grasped the current condition or understood the main obstacle blocking the target condition.
So you end up with a list of 20 things to do, maybe fixing minor issues but not tackling the biggest barrier scientifically, a scattershot approach.
Exactly. He tells that story about the manager who chewed out an engineer for only bringing back 8 suggestions when he wanted 30 or 40.
Right, demanding quantity over quality of thought.
Yeah. The Kata thinking would be, what's the one biggest obstacle right now? And what's one experiment, one next step we can take to learn about it? Pushing for tons of solutions bypasses the learning process.
Okay, no magic bullets in workshops. Don't just make long action lists. What's the third big hurdle?
This ties back to the target condition idea. Managing by outcomes, specifically relying too heavily on things like ROI or MBO, management by objectives.
So making every decision based purely on whether it shows an immediate, quantifiable return.
Pretty much. If every single step towards your long-term vision has to pass a short-term ROI test, you'll never invest in the foundational capabilities or tackle the really complex problems that might not pay off right away but are essential for long-term adaptation.
It keeps you stuck in short-term thinking, optimizing locally maybe, but not evolving the whole system towards that true north vision.
Exactly. And the kicker is, as Rother points out, this MBO-style outcome-focused management logic largely dates back to the structures GM and others developed in the 1920s and 30s.
Wow. So we're trying to compete in the 21st century using management thinking from almost 100 years ago.
It's kind of startling when you put it like that, isn't it? It wasn't designed for the speed and complexity we face now.
Okay, so the improvement kata gives us a structure, a routine to break free from these ineffective habits. But you mentioned 2 katas. What's the second one?
The coaching kata. This is absolutely essential. The improvement kata isn't something people just do naturally, especially at first. It needs to be taught, practiced, and reinforced systematically.
And that's the role of the coach or the mentor, usually the manager or team leader.
Yes, and this is a huge insight from Toyota. Improvement isn't just delegated down to the frontline workers to figure out on their own.
The book says something like 90% of the actual improvement comes from team leaders, supervisors, engineers, applying the improvement kata as part of their job.
Right. Leaders aren't just directing work. They are actively teaching the scientific thinking process of the improvement kata through their daily interactions.
And those interactions heavily involve that PDCA cycle we mentioned earlier, right? Plan, do, check, act.
Yes, but treated rigorously, like the scientific method. The goal isn't just to implement a change. The primary goal of each PDCA cycle is to learn.
Okay, so how does that change how you view? Well, failure. In most places, if an experiment or a test doesn't work, that's bad news.
At Toyota, or using the Kata mindset, it's the opposite. They see problems as jewels. Why? Because a problem or an experiment that doesn't go as expected tells you something important. It shows you the boundary of your current understanding or the system's current capability.
So unexpected results aren't failures, they're data. Valuable learning opportunities.
Exactly. You actually learn the most when your hypothesis is refuted, when reality doesn't match your plan. If everything goes perfectly, maybe you're not pushing hard enough, not experimenting at the edge of your knowledge.
That's a massive cultural shift. It changes the fundamental question, doesn't it? Instead of, will this idea work? Which leads to fear of being wrong.
It becomes, what do we need to learn to make progress towards the target condition? Or, what's our next step to test our understanding? It fosters persistence and curiosity, not prediction and blame.
So how does the coaching Kata help instill this? Is there a specific routine for the coach?
Yes, there is. It's structured around the 5 questions. This is a standard set of questions the coach, mentor, uses to guide the learner, mentee, through their improvement Kata cycles. These are often done quickly, standing up right at the process.
The 5 questions. Okay, what are they?
1. What is the target condition? Keeps the immediate goal clear.
2. What is the actual condition now? Grounds everything in current reality.
3. What obstacles do you think are preventing you from reaching the target condition? Which one are you addressing now? This is critical focus on one obstacle at a time for clean experiments.
Makes sense. Single factor thinking. Okay, 4.
What is your next step? What specific action or experiment are you going to run next? This kicks off the next PDCA cycle.
And the 5th question.
When can we go and see what we have learned from taking that step? This reinforces the need for rapid cycles learning in hours or days, not weeks or months. And crucially, it implies joint observation.
So the coach doesn't just get a report back. That leads to the core rule of coaching.
The mentor must go and see. They need to observe the process, the experiment, the results with the mentee. They can't coach effectively based on secondhand information.
If the coach just reads reports, they lose touch with reality and the whole learning cycle breaks down.
Exactly. Coaching becomes managing by proxy, not genuine capability development at the source.
Okay, so pulling it all together. The improvement Kata provides the how-to for navigating uncertainty, and the coaching Kata provides the mechanism for teaching and embedding that scientific thinking throughout the organization.
Right. It's not just about getting more efficient at what you already do. It's about developing what Rother calls adaptive persistence, a way to keep moving toward challenging long-term visions, even when the path is completely unclear.
It's giving people a standard routine, a kata, for dealing with the ambiguity and uncertainty that's just normal now.
And it stands in such stark contrast to that old early 20th century management logic of predict and control, which just isn't built for today's world. This embeds learning and adaptation into the very fabric of daily work.
So here's a really provocative thought from the book to wrap up on. If the improvement kata is basically applied science, and science works, then if your improvement efforts aren't getting the results you expect.
The fault isn't likely in the kata itself. The breakdown is probably in the teaching of the kata, the coaching kata. The focus needs to be on building that capability in people, not just chasing the next quick fix.
It implies that if you really commit to this, the path forward, especially for culture change, should feel uncertain. You won't have all the answers laid out.
Precisely. If it feels perfectly clear and predictable, you're probably not really in the learning zone, not really pushing the boundaries or developing adaptive capability. That uncertainty means you're likely on the right track.
So with that in mind, maybe the final question for you listening is this. If you stopped focusing only on copying the visible tools and started consciously practicing and coaching these invisible routines, what would be the first step in your improvement kata right now?